You gotta be super smart to count cards, buddy, okay?
Oh, really?
It's not easy.
Okay, so Sixth Amendment was the right to have, right of the accused to have a lawyer. Now I know your slide here goes to the straight to the Eighth Amendment, but I just want to cover the Seventh Amendment real quick with you. And basically what the Seventh Amendment says is it provides for a provides for a trial by a jury in certain kinds of cases that involve conflicts over money or property. So let's say that you have, there's two different people and they both feel that they own a piece of property, and so obviously they'll have to dig up all the different types of information they can. But anyway, instead of this just being, going to a judge, there's a good chance it could go to a jury, and then the jury's going to hear all the evidence that there is, and then the jury will have to make a decision who exactly gets the property. The Eighth Amendment forbids cruel and unusual punishment, and um, something else that the Eighth Amendment does is it also gives an accused person the right to be released from jail on bail. And so, what is bail? Bail is money or property that an accused person gives to the court. So let's go back. First of all, it forbids cruel and unusual punishment. What this means is that when if a person is arrested and they are found, and there's a trial and they are found guilty of a crime, it just means that the punishment that they are given cannot be cruel, and it cannot be unusual in terms of does the punishment fit the crime. Something here in Nebraska that um, our state government and specifically our governor has struggled with um, since Pete Ricketts became governor is whether or not Nebraska should have the death penalty. Now, for a long time, Nebraska was one of, I think it's 37 states that had the death penalty. And then when Ricketts became governor, he decided to do away with it. And then there was a movement by a group of people that felt that the death penalty need to be kept. And so they went around and they filed for a petition, got the petition, and then they had to get signatures. And I forget what the number of signatures was that they had to get, but you had to be a registered voter. And then if you signed the signature, or I'm sorry, if you placed your signature on the petition, it meant that you felt that the death penalty should be brought back. And so this group got enough signatures on the petition. In fact, I think they doubled the number that they needed. And what that meant was that on the last election that we had, on that ballot was the issue of whether or not Nebraska should bring back the death penalty. It was placed on the ballot and the death penalty was brought back. But here's one thing that a lot of people, I think, don't realize is it actually costs more to house a person on death row than if you just kept them um, in their maximum security cell, letting them out, when they're supposed to be let out and whatnot. It actually costs a tremendous amount of money to keep a person on death row. And the thing is, in the state of Nebraska, if a person is given, if they commit a crime where the potential sentence is the death penalty. First of all, there's only one crime in the state of Nebraska that you can be given the death penalty for, and that is first-degree murder. Are there different types of murders? Well, according to the courts, yes, there are. First-degree murder, the difference between it and some of the other types of murder, like maybe a second-degree, even a third-degree murder or a manslaughter, is that it was premeditated. What premeditated means is that you made plans to kill a person and you did that. It just wasn't where two people got into a disagreement and it turned into a fight, and then in the course of the people fighting, a person was killed. This is, you walked into a business to hold them up, and then you ended up shooting someone and killing them. That would be first-degree murder. Getting in an argument with someone and going to your car and grabbing a gun out of it and then turning around and shooting them. That would be first-degree murder, because when you went and got that gun, you knew why you were getting it. You weren't gonna just, fire shots in the air to scare someone. And you would have a tough time trying to convince a court that that's exactly what you were doing. So, that's the cruel and unusual punishment. And the other thing is, other people that were opposed to the death penalty felt that, executing someone was cruel and it was unusual. And of course, the main argument there was, well, what about the person that they killed? Wasn't that probably cruel and unusual also? So there's a lot of arguments both ways. If any of you have ever seen the TV show Dog the Bounty Hunter, that's a TV show where there's this guy who lives in Hawaii, and if people get arrested and there is a bond that is set and they cannot afford it, then what happens is they go to like a bail bondsman and they'll say, yeah, need $20,000. And so then they give them the $20,000. Now what happens is the $20,000 that's given, whether it's a bail bondsman, whether it's a family member, that is given to the court when you show up for your hearing. The money is given back. Or remember, your definition said money or property. Maybe you end up giving them a car, maybe you give them a boat, maybe you give them an ATV, whatever the case may be. It's given back. However, if you fail to show up, the court keeps it. So see, that's supposed to be the incentive. I mean, if you're a bail bondsman, it's a huge risk, because so what? So you don't show up now. It's not like it was your money. But what happens now if you don't show up? There's going to be a warrant out for your arrest. And so there's a good chance you're still going to get caught. Now, for a bail bondsman, what's going to happen then is not only are they going to loan you the money, but then they're going to attach interest to it as well. So however long it takes you to pay that off, it's like paying off a loan to a bank. You're not just going to give them $20,000. You might give them $22,000. Otherwise, if they just say, yeah, we gave you $20,000, give us $20,000 back, how are they going to stay in business? You're not making any money that way. And so, and the other thing about bail is, normally if whatever the court sets as bail, the amount you have to pay is 10% of it. So if bail's $100,000, you owe 10,000. If it's $500,000, you owe 50,000. There are times where the judge may deny bail. If the crime that the individual has committed is so extremely bad, or they think that the person that was arrested is a flight risk, that they might try to flee the country or something like that, then they'll just simply say bail denied. And now you have to sit in jail until until your hearing. The Ninth Amendment. The Ninth Amendment states that not all rights are listed in the Constitution. That there's still a lot of rights that we have as U.S. citizens, and that at some point it's just got to boil down to common sense. You can't possibly put every right that a person is has access to, or that a person should be given in the Constitution. At some point, common sense has to come into play. And so that's what really the Ninth Amendment is saying, is that not all rights are listed in the Constitution. And now I'm going to go to the 10th Amendment, because I don't believe the 10th Amendment is going to be listed. No, it's not. So the 10th Amendment, and what the 10th Amendment does is it reserves power to the states. Basically what that's going to say is states can also have, they can have their own rights too. They can have their own laws. As long as whatever these states have does not violate the U.S. Constitution, they're free to do it. There for a while in the United States, same-sex marriages were only allowed in certain states. Now, if one state allowed it, that didn't go against the U.S. Constitution, because nowhere in the U.S. Constitution does it say that that can't happen. And so states allowed that to happen. Now the U.S. Supreme Court has heard that case, and they say, you know what, that you cannot deny anyone that opportunity now. If two people of the same sex want to get married, they can, and there's nothing that can be done about it. You can't deny them that opportunity. And this brings a close to the notes for Section 1.